Hey everybody, it's Bill Slocum at NC State University, and in my series of an introduction to the National Park Service ArcGIS Online for Organizations YouTube videos, I'm going to talk about customizing informational pop-ups. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Neither the National Park Service nor NC State University endorses or recommends any commercial products, processes, or services. This material may not be used for advertising or product endorsement purposes. This material is intended for educational purposes only. Neither the U.S. government nor NC State University warrants or assumes any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any information, apparatus, product, or process disclosed. So, customizing informational pop-ups. These are done within a web map. And you access the customization tool through the table of contents of that layer within your web map, and I'll explain that, or I'll demonstrate that in just a second. But we want to have these informational pop-ups configured so that they accurately display the attribute data or the underlying intelligence of a feature, such as its name or maybe a code associated with it, something to describe that feature. Within ArcGIS Online, you can configure these pop-ups so that they're easy to understand and read. You can enable them so that they always show up, or you can remove them. It all depends on what you want to do. The only way to really understand what you want to do is to get into the software, get into the platform, and start exploring that. So let's just do that. Let's explore the software and teach you how to customize these pop-ups. Again, for the National Park Service, you would access it through nps.maps.arcgis.com. So let's do that. I'm going to sign in to the National Park Service ArcGIS Online platform using my National Park Service account. And this is the same way that you would access other systems that you would have with National Park Service, such as Bison Connect. You would be presented with a dialog, and you would type in your PIN associated with your PIV card. Now, I've already got a map here. Let's just bring that map up into the viewer. I'm going to open that in a map viewer here. And I created this in another video. So these are common layers that we would like to see with Colonial National Historical Park. And I'll just zoom in here. There we go, a little bit better. Don't have to have the whole map display. And you can see over here my table of contents. Let me see if I can, yeah, look at that. I can move that around a little bit. I have some layers. Let's turn these off for just a minute. And we'll leave the boundary up, and we'll leave these kilometer markers. Now, in an earlier video, I showed you how to upload or create a feature service by sharing an ArcMap document. That's how I created these informational pop-ups for the boundary. I created aliases in my ArcMap document. However, my kilometer markers here, I'm going to turn that off. My kilometer markers here, I simply uploaded a zip shapefile. So you can see here that these informational pop-ups don't really tell you a whole heck of a lot. So I'm going to show you how to configure that. It's a good idea to write down what you got going up here. So I've got X chord, and I've got Y chord. I've got this feature, feature 2, and feature 3. So I'm going to keep feature 2 and feature 3. And that X chord, Y chord. Let's configure that. So you simply, to configure that, you'll see the ellipses here. That's more options. Simply click on that. And here you'll see where I can, as I talked about, remove the pop-up. So now when I click on a feature, nothing shows up. Maybe you don't want a pop-up for your boundary. You just want to leave it alone. But for this, I'm going to want to have pop-up. So I'm going to enable that pop-up. And now I can access the descriptive attributes. But I want to customize that. I want to configure that pop-up. Now, please notice there are a lot of options here within the More Options dialog box. Take some time to explore these options. It can really help you out, make your maps really intelligent and really beneficial, such as creating labels. So I'm going to configure this pop-up. You'll have a Configure Pop-up dialog box here, and I can change the title of this. Maybe I just want to put in kilometer markers. Okay. And here you can see that I can configure these attributes. You'll notice that it has the attribute and then it has the alias here. So let's click on Configure Attributes. I'm going to leave the comment. Why not? No, let's take it out. I didn't see a whole lot there. And here I'm simply going to type X space coordinate. Whoops, if I could spell today, that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? And I'm going to say Y coordinate. Now, feature I didn't want to keep, so I'm just going to uncheck that. Scroll down here. And feature 2, what did that say? That said something like kilometer marker. I'm going to get rid of that. And under feature 3, I'm just going to say marker number. And I'm going to get rid of S-type. That's an internal thing. That's a source type of how Colonial does some of their data management. Okay, I'm going to say OK. Let's click on one of these. Oh, what's happened? It didn't take. Well, I need to say OK. Another thing that you can do is you can add in attribute expressions. I'll let you explore that on your own. You can also add pop-up media, and you can add several different things to pop-up media associated with your attribute database. So please explore that as well. Let's click OK. Now let's see what happens. I'll click on a marker. Now you see that the title has changed. I have an X coordinate, I have a Y coordinate, and I have a marker number. Let's configure that a little bit more just to reduce the amount of information you see on the screen and show you another technique. I'm going to go back in and configure that pop-up one more time. And instead of here, I'm going to say kilometer marker colon, and I'm going to add a field or an expression. And I'm going to say feature 3. I'm going to come back into my configure attributes. I'm going to get rid of the marker number attribute here. Okay? And keep the X and the Y coordinates. Say OK, and say OK. Now let's see what those pop-ups look like. You can see that I've got kilometer marker, it's number K23, and I've gotten the X to Y coordinate. So again, you can configure these pop-ups with any way you want to within your map. So let's go ahead and turn these layers back on, and I'll show you how to clean this up in another video of customizing your display. But now I'm going to hit save. Now, every time I open this map, my kilometer markers are always going to be, oops, there's one right there, always have that same pop-up. If I save a copy of this and share it with other people, they would have that same configuration as well. Now, just because I configure these other pop-ups, such as this right here, the Colonial Parkway culvert, I could go back and do the same thing with my culverts. I could remove the pop-up. I could configure that pop-up. I could also put labels on there and maybe get rid of the pipe size and maybe just have a label of 18. But that's for another time. This was, again, just how to configure those informational pop-ups. I'm going to save my map here because we're going to use it in a later session. So let me please recap real quickly here. Informational pop-ups are used to display the underlying attribute of your data, and you can configure those pop-ups and put in words that are legible. Maybe you've got codes in your attributes, but you want other people to look at real words like marker number or coordinate, X coordinate, Y coordinate. You can also remove those pop-ups if you do not want to share that underlying information with the end user. All right, so get in there, start playing with ArcGIS Online, configure those pop-ups. Remember, the most important thing you can do is configure those to make them look aesthetically pleasing and convey the information that you want your users to see. All right, thanks a lot. Hop into that software, explore around, and have a good time. Take care.